Oh, wow. Okay, here we go, everybody. Monday night. Wow, what a story. I feel so terrible. I feel so terrible for the family of Michele Romano. It's just lousy. On I'm going to start in just a moment, and I'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, we'll do that. Folks, it's also Wanathon, final night of the month. This is it. Yes, I'm still getting set up here. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to wait till a few more people come in. And I realize it's a serious subject, excuse me, and I feel terrible about it. It is, and I'm going to walk through because, as you can imagine, the usual, they don't have all of the details. There's Jane Rice. Hi there, Jane. There's Phyllis. Yes. There's everybody. Alex. Thank you, Jennifer Madsen. Thank you very much, Jennifer Madsen. Folks, this is it. Final night of the month. Hi there, Cheryl. It is, as we call it, a Wanathon. We have a very generous couple, and they're big fans of what we do. You grew up with her, Michele. And what they do on the final day and night of the month, they will match all stars that accumulate. So let me tell you this. If you like any of the coverage that we've done, and look at just the month of March, and now we end tragically on this note. But I'm going to show you in just a moment. But this is the time. Thank you, Pam Riley. If you at any point said, boy, that was pretty good coverage, whether it was the missing persons case or, I should start to go through some of the highlights so that I can. March was a busy month. Tomorrow, April 1st, this is where yes, Wanathon, Lisa. It is such terrible news. This is where we really, thank you, Heather. Hi, Heather. It is sad. I feel terrible for her family. Now, I'm also going to, so this is, I'm not going to, but this is the time. Yeah, best friends. I'm so sorry, Melissa. Now, I want to, if we go to, let me pull it up. Let's see. Michele Romano, DePietro.com. If I just type that in, I think we get, yes, October 31st, Halloween. What happened to Michele Romano? There it is. Where is Michele Romano? All right, I'm going to post the links to this. Yeah, there it is in the chat. So to make it easy, so people can, just be easier to then see some of the original stories that we did. That was Halloween. Think of that. Halloween, we were posting about that. Anybody else? Thank you, Brenda. There it is. Folks, I always appreciate that. Good evening, David. Yes. Well, actually, we're not a great night. Thank you, Carol. I'm going to post links right here. Well, that's not a very good one, but right here in the chat. So then so you can read the initial postings, because it's not lost on me that we just have so much more information. We had it then, as a matter of fact, back in October, November. I'm looking at the different postings. Yes. And I'm referring you to this simply because that way you can read some of what we initially, which was just what happened to her. And it's just so terrible. And I just, I feel her daughter is fantastic. And her sister, this is another homicide that it looks like that we are investigating. There it is. Okay. And then we have all the videos right there. If you Google, I don't know why it's not allowing me to do that. If you Google DePietro.com and then Michele Romano, It comes up right there. That was November 3rd. Where is Michele Romano? And I like to also refresh myself. But what you need to know, when we have the interviews that we did with her daughter and her sister, her daughter is so terrific, Fallon.
Michele Romano.
Ah, and right now, what can you tell us about your mom?
She's been missing for about 3 months now.
All right, I'm going to post a link. I'm going to post a link, and I'll repost. There's a way you can then, they call it, give it a sticky, and I'm going to do that. So then those that, good evening, Cindy Shepard, those that want to, yes, she does. Yes, she does. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. The daughter was very helpful. I'll give it that. I don't know. I've been in touch with him. I think it's an ex. I think it's an ex-husband. I have spoken to him. It's just terrible. And there's Lisa. But some things that I want to clear up. Now, first of all, she was last seen in July. I know that the news reports are saying she was reported missing. There's Rose. Folks, remember, share that you are watching. You know, there's so many people that have interest in this case. This is the missing human remains found in Foster. It's the missing woman out of Warwick. And I'll tell you everything that I know. If you know of anyone that's interested, contact them now, because then I always get messages from people later. There's my friend Carmine. It is terrible news, Teresa. But so the story is she was living with this man named Chuck. And Chuck, according to Michelle's daughter, called her to say, come get your mom's dog, Inky. And there was some kind of, thank you, David, some kind of version of the story was that he said, now I want to be very clear. We haven't heard suspect, person of interest. I'm just telling you the facts that I know them. Thank you. There she is. The Koches are here. Thank you, Jennifer. And so the facts that I know them was there was some kind of speculation, which was, I don't know what that means. Hello, so sad, the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Why am I looking at the comment? I have no idea what the person's talking about. Do we have to go? Why are you doing that, Gloria Martins? So sad, the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Do I now have to go to Google to find out what the hell she's talking about? Does anyone know what she's talking? So sad, the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon. What's the? Oh my goodness! All right, I'll go on X. What's so sad about the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon? Why am I? Again, that's just such a odd thing to put. Does anyone have any idea why that person is putting that? As I'm talking about a missing person who they found her remains? Gloria, what are you talking about? So sad, Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon. I know, Ariana. Listen, Gloria, we need an explanation. And I hate to bring the live stream to a halt, but folks, I want to automatically added. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, I'm going to move on. Do we know what happened to Michelle? All right, Ariana, I will answer you. Just Gloria, don't comment anymore. All right, you've ruined the chat, possibly the evening. So let's just, why don't you just listen? Why don't we just be here listening? Okay. No, it's not a bot. Not a bot, Ariana. Folks, let me focus. Not a bot. No, sadly, that's a real person that put that. No need to say anything. I thank you, Lynn. Let's move on. I am in control of the chat. So there's no need. No one else is going to focus on this. Thank you, Virginia. Well, it's tough. I'm trying to go through it, and then someone comes up, Gloria Martin, and puts that. I know she said it was automatically put there. So sad, the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon. I don't believe that. But let me move on. I know, Ariana. Terrible. I'm ready to ban her, but I'm not going to do it because I want to stay focused. All right. What we know, folks, this is some people ask me to do this more. Do you understand that this is the nature of how it becomes impossible because you're dealing with nitwits? Ah, I'm telling you, Tyler. All right. It is not. Listen, stop fucking saying that. It's not a bot. It's a real person. Jesus. I've already established that. Western Australia. Thank you, Sam. All right. No one else comment. I don't want any more comments about bots. Most of the people don't even know what that means. That's like the people that put fake news or you're biased. They don't even know what it means. Now, I already gave you the information that they have, but there's more information that I know, and that is she was last seen. I'll just try to ignore the chat. I like to interact with the chat. Certain people make it impossible because then they put a stupid comment that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Then other people start defending them. Then other people start saying it's a bot, and then we're way off track. I believe there's Emily Pacheco. Thank you, Sandra. You know, Sandra, you're not a. Just move on, please. You're not a subscriber. Not. I don't like that you're kind of giving direction here. Do you understand? You don't have the right to give direction. Thank you, Mark. I'm ready to. Yes. Thank you, Robin. I don't like that. Let me find that again. Sandra LeBanc. Just move on, please. Kind of sounds like a directive. Not fond of that. Not even from a subscriber. Boy, we're off to a shaky start here, folks. Oh, now Michael Rowling. Oh, who gives that? Just Jesus needs to intervene on this live. Oh, well, there's certainly a way to not have to worry about that. My goodness, another non-subscriber commenting. All right. Let me move on here. My name is not Bud. That the person she was living at the house with, I believe, gave some kind of a story that she took off. And I think what we learned something about maybe lent her money. But there's a small circle of individuals that are involved with this. But it was back July. And then why the delay? I don't know. I don't know. I've talked a little bit about it. Some people have complicated relationships with family. Sometimes people, I try to tell people, even if you have a difficult family member, you have to have one person who is in touch with that person. Because, and I get it, because people go through, sometimes they have drug issues, they may have alcohol issues, they have various problems. So some family members say, that's it, I'm done with this person. But someone has to stay in touch with that person. Because then if they disappear, we don't have an exact link of when they disappeared. So now a couple things about this. So she was last seen last July. I know that state police say it was August that she was reported missing by her family. Why the delay? I can't get, I don't know. Sometimes people don't know what to do. People think maybe the person took off without naming names. There's a family member that kept telling people. I had to ban more than one family member from the page because every time I would post about Michele Romano, they would post she's alive in California. So, this was a tough case to begin with, but number one, this answers the question of what happened to her. That's number one. Number two, the state police are involved in this investigation. And although the area is remote, as I stated last week, when you have a remote location, although an individual may think it's remote, there's things bouncing all over the place. So there's video cameras that people don't know is there. There's cell towers that people don't realize. So now you know it's her. You know she was last seen Oakland Beach and then ends up in Foster. How did she get there? What condition was she found? They're obviously now talking that it's a homicide investigation. So, where did that happen? Did it happen there? Did it happen somewhere else? Here's what this is not. We have no reason to believe this is a serial killer. I immediately like to knock that out because some people just go to that automatically. And I find it very destructive to family. And I don't understand why people just jump to that other than they like jumping to it. I'll say this there's a small number of people that saw her in the days leading up to the last time she was seen. And that's really important because it can't just be one person that says, "Oh, I saw her on, you know, on whatever, on Tuesday." You need when's the last time more than one person has seen that individual? So I think this is more, and I have notes on this actually. Thank you, Suzette. Let me find my notes on because I was trying to piece this together. And okay. Okay, I have my notes. December 15th, July 21st, Sunday, 8 a.m. A friend of Michelle's sees someone in the driveway at the house. At 2 o'clock on that Sunday, July 21st, a friend of hers, female, spoke with Michelle. On that Monday, July 22nd, the individual was living in the house, I believe, claims he gave her $2,000 because she was in trouble. And then it was on July 29th, it's my understanding the person in the house called the daughter to come get the dog. So you look at the last time, I believe, let me just go back to last July, this past July. Okay, the last time that someone saw her, I believe, was Sunday, July 21st. The Monday, no one is seeing her. A week later, the person at the house tells the daughter, come get the dog. So, very, very odd. Now, let me just stay on track here. Now remember, I'll tell you where I believe the state police and where this will be helpful will be just the fact that look at what the result is. You know, that we have this with missing people. With Charlotte Lester, there was someone saying, I think she went to Vermont. Oh, I think she went out of town. There's always people like that. With this particular case, and I don't want to get into it, but there were two people that are her family. Like I said, I had to block them from the page because they were posting, oh, she's alive. Oh, yeah, she's in California. Well, now we know that's absolutely not true. And I'm not even going to dwell on that too much, but I want you to understand it's not easy with this is not an easy case because of who some of the individuals were. There's Julie Broccoli. So thank you. I'm seeing someone else sending that. So folks, thank you, Ricky Tucker. I that's fine. That's fine. I'm friends with those guys. Thank you, Suzette. That's fine. Robin, I don't like that. Remember, we're not supposed to point out different people. Haven't we gone through that? Come on. With the mods, you just let people come in and watch. I thought we went through that. I know. Very odd, Cheryl. Well, and then with the remains being found, they haven't released any details on that. And let me be very clear about that. What don't we know? We don't know about her cell phone. We don't know cause of death. We don't know. We know that human remains were found in Foster, but we don't know For instance, with Charlotte Lester, I hate to say it, but we know it was a shallow grave, and then a hunter found the person, her Charlotte's remains. This is much sooner, by the way. I mean, this is, I don't know, when was she there? We don't know. That's an unknown. That's an unknown. I want to be very clear. I'm not pointing any finger. We don't know. I can tell you the state police now will really dig in, and they'll really get to the bottom of this. I believe they'll certainly, where this will, I think, come down is we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't. We don't know what DNA may be under her fingernails. We don't know cause of death. We don't, what else don't we know? We don't know how she got there. What was in her system? I mean, there's a lot here, and then they'll start to develop a digital footprint that will go through, I'm telling you, between flock cameras and cell towers, and people don't realize that some stores just have a Ring camera out in front. There's so many different, where we are today, final day of March. Let's see where we are in a couple of months. And I'm going to be cautious because we right now we don't know what happened, and we don't know who they may be looking at. There's some questionable individuals, so to speak, definitely, that are kind of in the circle, but we're going to let the state police will certainly, I'm curious of that, but I feel terrible for her family. Her sister is so terrific, and her daughter Fallon is so wonderful. And it wasn't easy when we did the videos with her daughter, and then people would go into where the daughter works and start saying things. And I don't know. I mean, people don't know what to say. I think people try to be helpful. People that are not used to being in the public eye, which you can imagine, then it kind of really throws things off. So, but this is an odd one. I think, I know this sounds a little odd, but the good news is that they did find her. The Charlotte, that went on. This is the second missing person from Warwick who has been found somewhere else, and it's a homicide investigation. Something needs to be done in Warwick. I'm not saying I know what the answer is, but something needs to be done and changed with missing women, specifically in the city of Warwick. Now, with this, the state police have the lead, and I don't mean that as a slight towards Warwick. Let me also back up. When you had the Charlotte Lester case, that was a Warwick investigation until then it was the DEM and state police that found Charlotte's remains in Exeter. But this, it was state police found it, and then I believe they're leading this investigation with Warwick. So now there's something also that was really interesting last week, and I tried to point this out. Not everyone got it, but with initially with Channel 12, Warwick police said there's nothing suspicious about the disappearance. And then I contacted Warwick police, and I thought, I don't know why they're closing the door on that. And I posted their statement just last week. This was all in the aftermath of Linda missing. And Warwick police said at this time, it doesn't seem to be anything suspicious, although we're not ruling it out. And that was different. And now, obviously, that's really been ruled out. So most importantly, and I know people want information, they don't give information. They're working on an investigation. They don't want to tip off the suspect. Someone put her there. How did she get there? Was it one person? Was it more than one person? Was she in something? How was she transported there? I don't, we don't know. But they don't want, and I know some people don't get this, but they don't want the individual or individuals responsible to know what they have. So who knows? They could have a footprint. They could have DNA. She could have something under them. They don't want anyone to know that. They don't want anyone to know that. So there's Harriet Brown. I know. There's Sarah. It's just so terrible. And there's Darlene. I don't know exactly what I don't hear anyone talking about that. I don't hear anyone talking about that. And what do I mean? Now, let me back up just for a moment. There's Eric. So, folks, what I mean by this ring camera, look at that. See, I like that, Tracy. That's important. There's Austin. What I mean by that is, and I haven't, thank you, Jennifer. Well, we were on it, right? I mean, okay. They haven't released that, Denise. I'm sorry. How was she discovered? They haven't released that. I put for I posted exactly what they told you. They're not going to say anything. They're not going to say anything. Was it? I don't want, I know, Holly, it's terrible. All right, there's Chris Mirandola, Wanathon. We can go through. I mean, without trying to be insensitive, but it could have been an animal. It could have been a hunter. Could have been someone that owns the land. That has not been disclosed. But they know the condition of how they found her. So I understand people are, I know, Barbara. But it could have been. It could have been. The hunter was Charlotte. The hunter was Charlotte. I have not heard the Coventry girl. I don't know who the Coventry girl is. Do I want to get off track here? The Coventry girl. Who's the Coventry girl? Oh, you mean the human remains in Coventry? That's true. Yes. That's still an open investigation. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. No, let me go back. Now, people do get things wrong. I understand that. Let me stay right here. And again, folks, I want to clarify. I just have this thing. Someone should be able to come on the page and watch without someone announcing, like the fucking town crier, that they're there. And we've run into a problem with that. Sometimes when I will dip into, most of the time it's like a YouTube thing. Maybe I just want to slide in. Maybe I just want to watch and want to draw attention. So no one like, oh, look who's here. I mean, what is this? I thought we were past that. Look at this. We're still back to it. Now, how many times I say that? Let me find the human remains Foster. Unbelievable. Just leave. Everybody just, I don't get it. Let me just pull up just to be on the safe side. I don't think that was released in that way. Look at isn't this terrible? Someone posting New England serial killer. That is so rotten that people, and I got very angry at someone that was trying to post that on our page, and I wouldn't allow it. And I actually banned her overnight. So, oh my goodness. Now, it says the Foster police were initially notified by a local resident. So that was the statement put out. There's nothing, and I won't stay on it, but there's nothing about a hunter. But it's just terrible. Okay. Now I have my post. 5:00, Rhode Island State Police responded to a wooded area in Foster to investigate a report of human remains. The Foster police were initially notified by a local resident. The remains belong to an unidentified female. So now we know. When was that? Just last week. So now we know it is Michele. And she has, and just so you know, folks, she has the nicest sister. You saw we interviewed little Fallon. It's so terrible. It's so gruesome that that's how someone met their demise. Just I don't know, but you know what else? I don't hear anyone at the Rhode Island State House. They did talk about a bill, Linda bill, the Linda Act or Linda Alert for someone with special needs. I'm saying I think we need a better process for people that go missing. And what I wanted to mention was I don't hear enough talk. I've spoken to family members, and this is like, way back years ago, of someone that I've interviewed people that were recovering. They had heavy drug problems or they had very serious drinking problems. And then they will say that their family stopped letting them because they would steal from them to get drugs. They would lie, they'd steal all these things. So the family turns their back on them. The problem is then the way I view this, a problem that develops is it becomes a month and no one's talked to the individual, talked to the family member. And then it becomes 2 months. And then people don't even know what happened. So again, I'm not in that situation. And I know some families have gone through hell with family members that do these things and steal from them and all this other stuff. So I don't know what the solution is, but Charlotte had a little bit of a complicated relationship with her family, with some members of her family. My point is, some of these women now, 40s and 50s, as much as the family may say they're done with them, there's some stranger out there who is not. So, and then if something happens, I don't know what the system could be. If you're listening, if you're watching right now, and you have a family member that has a drug problem, or maybe they turn tricks, they do things that the family doesn't want any contact with them. And many times, they've done things, stolen things, they're not even allowed into their family's home. All I would suggest, and again, I know it's easier said than done, but someone has to stay in touch with that person. If anything, just the once a week check in. Every Sunday, we're going to talk for a few minutes, just something. Because otherwise, look at this. People go missing. Now, I have the timeline. She was last seen July 21st. She's reported missing August 18th. That's a long time. Charlotte, we got lucky on Charlotte. We got lucky on that, the Charlotte Lester case. She went to Perkins' house on that Monday night, May 16th, and was never seen again. She was reported missing on the Thursday. Charlotte really should have been reported on the Tuesday. There was someone that talked to Perkins, and Perkins was like, oh, yeah, I think I killed. I mean, again, in the end, they did get him, but I just think there has to be, and I'm not saying I have the solution, but we can't have these gaps of time because whoever committed this, it works in the favor of the perpetrator, is what it does. So now we'll see what we can learn over the next couple of days and weeks, and this could go on for months. Carbuncle Pond went on for a very long time until they got those guys, and they both got life. There was a very solid investigation. And then you're right, we still have the human remains that were found in Coventry. That is unsolved. Folks, see a pattern? Women? Oh, it's just so terrible is what it is. Thank you, Sue. Yes, happy Wanathon indeed. So, folks, what we're going to do is I am in touch. We're working on the case. I want to post some updates. So, yes, something has to be, and I don't know what the answer is. You know what else has to stop? I don't know if this is the proper time. And I appreciate that. I can imagine. All right. All right. This is Michelle's daughter. She is such a, oh my goodness. Let me just put, I am live right now talking about it. If the daughter comes into the chat, are people going to start, moderators going to start flagging and announcing that she's there? What the fuck? Sometimes I feel like we're going backwards instead of forwards. Folks, I try. I do the best I can. Some people just want to. Poor Fallon. What a wonderful girl. Deserves so much better. Okay. Okay, I'm getting some information. That's good. Another situation, a woman with a dog. How is that even relevant? Lane, what does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? I understand the nature of it. I mean, nothing really comes to mind because we're discussing this, Wayne. How come you're not on the road tonight? You know, Wayne, because the discovery of Michele Romano's body is more important to me than me riding around and entertaining you. That's why. So sorry if you're disappointed. So, yes. Sorry about that, Wayne. How come you're not on the road tonight? You know, if you listened for a couple minutes and watched, you'd know what we're talking about. So, yes. I don't know about the other one. I don't think he's coming in, but if Fallon comes in. So, you know, folks, I again, like, what is the point of that? How come you're not on the road tonight? Should I ride around and talk about it? Don't be. I was curious. Don't be. Do some research. You can Google it. Now with AI, you get answers to a lot of things. I was curious. Don't be curious. Yes, Jennifer. Is that, I was just curious. Well, don't be. Yes. No, we're not. And I'm actually like, what do you think we're talking about? God, the annoyance. I try, folks. I try to do the live stream with the chat, but there are people that just try to stop it at all levels. So thank you, Joe. Listen, no, I'm not. I'm sorry, Wayne. And am I supposed to? Oh, I like when you ride around. Oh, okay. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Ricky. No, not for tonight. All right. I'm going to have a conversation with someone, yes, connected. So, folks, again, I wish we had better news. I wish she was somewhere else. I wish she was found alive somewhere, obviously. And now the police have another missing person, seemingly murder investigation. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Is this really the time? Thank you, Caroline, for totally engaging her on that. What is wrong with you guys? There's no sensitivity. I can't believe some of the things, and I'm going to sign off just because I come in with high hopes, but people just, it's bad habits that come into. It's bad habits that people just start falling into that that I don't understand. Because we're doing adults here. We're doing adults. No, I feel terrible for the family. I'm very familiar with the case, and it starts off with what somebody wants to talk about Jimmy Fallon and the Tonight Show. So yes, that is the case. All right, we'll try to bring you the latest, folks. We'll try to bring you the latest. But if you want to pray, definitely say a prayer for poor Michele and her children and her family, and especially her sister Valerie, and also for Fallon. So we'll be back tomorrow.